Oh, I guess I should have had a drink before I started streaming. Well, let's try that again. Hello, everyone. We are here for the finals. The grand finals of Apex Arena Season 12. Autorun versus UpAppa. You know the drill. I'm just going to quickly get my chat set up, get everything working on my stream. And I'm still away from the studio working out of a quiet corner of a bar, so I'm going to be monitoring my Twitch chat on this same laptop, so I'll make sure to mute that so we don't have that echo that we had yesterday. It wasn't a huge problem, but why not have no problems? And then I will be able to, as soon as I'm done pasting my links in every channel known to creation, I'll be able to greet you in the chat. My dear friends, the last day of this. I almost can't believe it. Avengers, your first final. Oh my. Well, you know what? Yesterday sure felt like a final, so it's going to be more similar action to that, I imagine. Alright, we're back in action. And not a moment too soon. Games should start in about 2 minutes. JD Noble, finals hype. I agree, this is going to be good. So the exciting thing about the last couple days worth of games is yesterday's game, Autorun vs. SCL, was basically a finals-worthy game. In fact, we did see them fight in the finals 2 seasons ago. So some really good, tight, strategic matches there. And today's match should be of a similar caliber. Seventh Heaven, UpAppa. The account is new to the playoffs, but the player is not. The pilot of this account is an established and accomplished player. So the question remains, will that player be enough to give Autorun a run for his money? Autorun definitely with lots of experience, definitely with back-to-back-to-back finals appearances and wins. Really, the onus is on all of these up-and-comers to show that they can take down this champion. Rice Crew, Pete, welcome to the chat. The thing about Autorun that, people have been making this point in the Discords for the last while. One of the things that people keep saying about the challengers and the potential that they have to win is that Autorun doesn't go undefeated in the regular season, and that's true, but you have to remember that the playoffs are very different than the regular ladder season. In the playoffs, first of all, it's a best of 3, so it's not just enough to squeak out a win, like an RNG win versus Autorun. You do have to beat him twice. And the other thing is, in the playoffs, Autorun has an opportunity to do a lot more specific research for his opponents, and it's not just randomly queuing in against you don't know who. He's had lots of time to look into who UpAppa's pilot is and go back and look at their games, to scope out the account. He knows what the side box looks like, if there is one. He knows what the capability of the units. So it's much different than playing in ladder. Trying to beat Autorun twice under those circumstances is a whole different game. So, the time has come for us to jump in. All betting is off now. Welcome to the chat, Kirst. Good to see you. And this would be the most anticlimactic final in Langrisser history if one of these players failed to show up in the next 5 minutes. So, okay, good. That didn't happen. Both players are here, and it is just giving us the stream delay countdown now. We don't have to worry about a very anticlimactic and or embarrassing no-show in the finals. Up Appa, respect, rocking the bronze undecorated frame with Grenier, normal non-SP Grenier in there. As OG as it gets. A season or two ago, Championship, wasn't there a no-show? Definitely not within the last couple seasons. Not that I can think of in terms of any of the games that I was covering, I don't think. I mean, there's definitely plenty of no-shows to go around, obviously in earlier rounds. Avengers buying more tickets for next season. You know, that's not a bad idea. Most of the really lucrative betting rounds are the kind of around the top 16, top 8, that kind of area where you can still get good matches with good betting odds, where you know, it's not just either even odds or auto-run stomping everyone. Alright, so in 8 seconds we are going to get some important information about this battle. The champion skin for this current season is Landius's casino, like, gambler skin. So whoever wins this is going to get their name on Landius. Alright, so we have Up Appa as player 1. We are going to be on Floating Courtyard, so that's interesting. Floating Courtyard is one of the few maps that actually does have a pretty significant impact on deployment strategies. So it's not just a play everything the way you would normally play things on this map. Up Appa has Hilda in the box already to start, and also has Kruger in here. Zerda banned, and he's going to get Gintoki out first. Autorun basically using... Oh, he has Hilda as well. So both players starting with their, I'd say full complement of tanks. Not necessarily full complement, but both players starting with 2 tanks in the opening box, just in case, I guess. So we may see Autorun first pick Lightbringer here. As player 2, if he decides that he does want to go for a tank-focused strategy. Yeah, I like Landius's skins. I mean, even his shop skin, the kind of samurai wagon skin, is a pretty cool one. Autorun not going to miss this opportunity to get Zerida out first. So that's what happens. Up Appa does not necessarily need to worry about banning tanks as long as he bans that Rosen Seal. So she's down. If Autorun decides to pick up Lightbringer second or whatever, for example, he's not going to be able to threaten that tank plus Rosen combo. Banning the Watham as well. Both Wathams go down pretty early here. He is a pretty strong character on this map because he has the option of flying, so he can still threaten pretty well. Up Appa does get his Lightbringer out. Be very interesting to see if Autorun goes with Lightbringer as well. Okay, so Autorun opting to take out both of those long-range mages. As I mentioned yesterday, you don't like to see either of those mages hanging out with Lightbringer as a tank. The range is very useful, and feeling protected, also very useful for them. I am back in the bar, race crew. Back in the bar for today. I go back home to the home studio tomorrow afternoon. Dr. YOLO, a lot of money on Appa. Interesting. You know, I would expect that kind of the same kind of people that we saw bet the house on SCL yesterday are willing to play that underdog potential card in today's final as well. So I think we had around like 9,000 votes on this game, 9,000 to 10,000 votes. So a decent pool of people watching and betting, and to be honest, there's also a large number of people who don't know what those tickets are for and never manage to come out and vote on games. So, kind of a little indication of the slice of the Apex interested audience. Okay, so Up is going to get that Kruger out, and Autorun getting McLean out. McLean is pretty tough on this map because there are so few places that can be walked on. Now that said, Kruger and Epsilon can both be flyers, so that's two units that Up doesn't necessarily need to worry about getting bogged down in the streams. Autorun getting Matthew as well. Potentially leaving Up with 2 tanks, although I suspect Up would be more inclined to pick Lostom here. Not a great map for Lostom. He can't do as much whipping around here, but it's another DPS at least. But yes, Race Crew, on that note about being back in the bar, I did mute my other stream on the same monitor, so hopefully there shouldn't be any of that like little echo delay. But if there are any other sound issues, definitely let me know. The sooner I can fix things, the better. Soda all in on Up. Another one of those hopeful... A lot of people cheering against Autorun just because they want moolah. That's fair, I guess. It's all part of the game. So Autorun does manage to get his Lightbringer out 5th. I suspect he wanted Lightbringer on the board anyway, but had definitely had the capability to be patient there and get his other DPS picks out first. B-Guy just wants the guy who knocked him out to win. Well, the guy who knocked me out went pretty far as well, so I can't feel too bad about that. At least I was defeated by someone good. Pete, you could qualify. Enforcer, welcome to the chat. Pete, what's your excuse? Laziness? I'm sure you could at least make playoffs. Do I know who Appa is? Well, I know who the account is. They've been a top whale on Lushiris Gate for pretty much ever since Lushiris Gate opened, so they're only a new player in the sense that Lushiris Gate is a new-ish server. I think it's like the 3rd newest server, so not really even new anymore. It's the same server that I started FreeKong on, so basically, as long ago as FreeKong has existed, that's as long ago as Appa has been playing the game. And spending. The pilot, I'm not sure who the pilot is personally, so can't really shed much light on that side. But the pilot is not a new player either. So we do have the flying Epsilon, we do have the flying Kruger. Mass resist on this Lightbringer. And now Appa is going to be looking for an opening. A couple of threatening units that can cross the gap, so can definitely clamp down on center a bit more quickly than Autorun can. So mass resist is to help against the stun and the buff block there. Largely looking at a bunch of potential debuffs coming in from Kruger. This is partly why we have the Forest Priests on Sissy as well, to help with debuff removal, if that becomes a thing. Is Sword Memory the newest server in Langrisser? I think it's Sword Memory, because it was Lushyrus Gate and then Dragon Cave? Was it Dragon Cave? And then Sword Memory after that? Yeah, that could definitely be part of it too, B-Guy, although Up Appa didn't bring that skill on Lostum. Sword Memory, the newest, yeah, and the one before that, Dragon Cave, was originally, when they first announced it, it was originally going to be called Two Towers or Twin Towers or something like that, and the community kind of let Zlong know that that might not be the best name for a Langrisser server, although it was an easy switch. Welcome Muslera, welcome Latrap. Enjoy your DE running, finishing that off with me in the background. That's fine, that's fine. Lord, there is unfortunately no way to see what covenants they've deployed. Not from here. In fact, not while spectating at all, I believe. So we basically just have to go on stats. I would be pretty surprised if the Up Appa account didn't keep up with covenants, though, so... yeah, I don't know. If Odin is low, that would surprise me. Alright, so Up Appa has not even dipped into the backup time yet. Yeah, I mean, to that same point, Lord, it doesn't necessarily look like Heimdall either. Epsilon can fly if he has the right troops, Bakira, so this is really the main reason he brought gargoyles. Can he even kill any of Otto's units? I mean, that's the question that all the people who voted for or bet on Up Appa are hoping to see answered. This may be partly, the answer to that question, Pete, may be partly why Kruger is here. He'll definitely be able to attempt to combo, splashing some debuffs out, hoping that Autorun can't cleanse everything well enough, and then follow up with one of these other units to get a kill. Absol not liking the gargoyles. Yeah, I mean, this map definitely makes gargoyles a lot more tempting. But I definitely know people who swear by the giant spirit figurines, aka zombie giants, even on this map. Yeah, I mean, map aside, one of the other benefits of gargoyles in this specific situation is McLean. Like, I can see arguments for zombies on this map, but when you add McLean into the mix as well, the risk of being kind of boxed out of mid and fogged out increase quite a bit, so... That's one of the things, I mean, McLean is really good on this map specifically for that reason. Well, Bakira, it doesn't feel like a wait for these guys. Certainly they're both racking their brains, and potentially their teammates' brains, by strategizing opening plays and calculating kill potential, even now, even as we speak. Yeah, Avengers, being able to see Danger Zone would be nice, being able to see the Covenant choices would be nice. How is Langrisser doing game-wise? Game-wise, I think it's still a good game. We are entering kind of an era, I mean, on the Apex Arena side at least, where the power creep does seem to be starting to make a difference. They did a really good job balancing Apex Arena for a long time. Actually, a surprisingly good job considering Zilong's track record with other things. But now we're about to go into a meta where player 1 can stack up on rush characters who can reach on the first turn. And that can make things feel kind of bad in Apex. So it remains to be seen if they figure out a way to kind of dig themselves out of that meta without just, you know, power creeping even further. But I think the game's doing well. Apex is still decently competitive. There's a lot of people playing. There's a lot of people playing PvE. I mean, there's a lot of PvE-only players. But really, it depends on kind of what you mean by how's it doing game-wise. There's a lot of game, right? I still do strongly recommend the game to new players who ask me on my channels, you know, is it worth starting Langrisser now? I say yeah. Because there's tons of content. Even if you don't ever get into a position where you feel like you need to like catch up and be competitive in Apex, there's so much PvE content that you can just like, you just have tons of SRPG to play if that's your focus. Hello, Car. Thanks for stopping by for the finals for a bit. Well, I have my fingers crossed for you, Bakira. It would be pretty fun to work on a turn-based strategy. Yeah, as Lord noted, Autorun already has cut his backup time in half. It's not really worrisome yet. Autorun does often spend some time plotting out his moves. This is also the kind of map where once things get swinging, like once the characters start getting into the middle, both players won't necessarily need as much backup time. So McLean making a move to clog up that lane with some tiles. It's going to put a little bit more pressure on these units in particular to at least start thinking about where they want to move. These guys not necessarily in too much trouble from that. And It is asking a question of Appa, and he's trying to come up with the answer right now. Yeah, this is Lightbringer. This is a tank. Cucumber, rainy Sunday. It's a beautiful day here. Hope you're staying safe and dry. Kruger's just going to jump in and already get a start on splashing that AoE damage. Fresh Pickles, any tips to get interested in Apex? A long-time player, but just don't seem to care enough. I mean, I don't think it's a mode that you can really artificially interest yourself in. It's just a question of if you have fun playing against other people. You don't even have to necessarily be, like, super competitive. It is a mode where, like, all the inherent strategy of the SRPG side of Langrisser really comes out, though, because it's one thing, like, beating up on PvE mooks, but it's another thing to be able to, like, craft a team that can really, like, take apart another player's carefully crafted team. So we have buff block on the Lightbringer. And the Kruger, I guess. Nothing too devastating, but I guess it was a way to use Matthew. Yeah, Autorun's Lightbringer is heal blocked. Oh yeah, Cucumber, that's a good point. I think the weather in Brazil is going to be a little bit different than the weather in Canada. Hopefully, anyway. Pretty much, Bakira. It's kind of similar to Sage of the Trees tiles, where it counts as water tiles for them. It also decreases their movement if they try to walk across. It doesn't affect aquatic units or flying units. And don't worry, Licorice is not the only hero who can respond to this kind of thing. In 2 weeks, we have a new character, Polyol, who is a big answer to these kinds of tiles. She is a tile wiping machine. What do I think of BP on Lightbringer? To be honest, anything on Lightbringer that doesn't protect from stun, I'm not a huge fan. So right now it's just Angel Feather, the new accessory that's coming out after Polyol, the anti-stun accessory, also a contender for her and many tanks. Polyol does wipe Annie portals, so I'm not sure about Zeraballs, but it seems like Zeraballs and Annie portals have similar priority. Cherie stuns, Lostum stuns, Polyol multi-stuns. McLean can stun. Lightbringer with Ice Enchant can counter stun. Okay, Autorun. I mean, McLean has his revive still. He's chipped pretty bad. Lightbringer still can't heal, and she is hurt. we're working with only this Sissy as a healer. She hasn't blown any of her tokens yet on summons or Act Again, so she has Act Again available. Zerda also waiting for the right opportunity. Her faction buff is going to run out soon. So right now it is looking like the ball is in Up-Uppa's court. The question is, what can he do about it? The central casting skill for Landius doesn't single-handedly make him usable or viable, but he does get used a decent amount. It's mostly because of who he buffs, though. It's not, like, because of that central skill. There are a lot of YLS Legends heroes, so he's one of the tank, like, one of the after Lightbringer tank options. If you want to use Hilda or Landius. The value he brings is really in being able to buff, like, Oboro, for example. With Oboro's new helm, he gets bonuses if he has a faction buff, so Landius can do that. Annie, Gintoki, also Landius buffable. McLean. Lots of good YLS units. Kind of the key question, I guess, is if you are going to be playing all those units and your tank. I may be throwing Landius back in my box this season. Maybe. I haven't really decided if I want to play tanks like that. But a season is coming where everyone's going to be playing multiple tanks again, which annoys me because I find that style of gameplay fairly boring. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Alright, Up-Uppa is now really fog-hugging hard, and it's going to come to a turn here within the next couple turns. He's going to have to make a decision about committing with those units, and the question is, what can he get for committing those units? When he does go in, he needs to be able to make an impactful play. They kind of made a gesture towards that Bakira with Ledin. Ledin's SP class gives him slightly better passive guarding, like he passively guards in a ring. So it doesn't keep his tanking skill up at all times, but it makes it a little bit more juggleable. Freed, I'm not in America. So unfortunately I can't join your society. Okay, Up-Uppa going with Dark Breath now. Heal block on the McLean. Interesting little body block here from this infantryman. But a big chunk of the team still getting smoked with that. Woo, McLean. Looking to put some more water tiles down and burn off debuffs, but almost got chipped down from that fixed damage debuff. So his debuffs are off, but he's also wounded. He does have his revive to fall back on. Gintoki's not going to be able to scooter dash him because he can't get in all the way thanks to this water. Despite being really stuck to the fog, Apapa's team is still in decent shape. Let's see if Matthew can change that. Okay, big splash from Matthew there. Buff block on Gintoki, that's important. Yeah, these are basically rain tiles now, water stream tiles in the sky. What turn are we on? Okay, we're on turn 5, not too bad. And now Pete's earlier question about what Epsilon is here to actually kill is really resonating more and more, because he's still hanging out back there for the time when he's needed. He doesn't have any stacks yet. Gonna take a turn to rebuff. And there's that act again on McLean that we were expecting. Yeah, Gold Magistrate, I have not progressed any further in Voyage since I've been away on this trip. So McLean ready for an easy, just very perfunctory kill on that Kruger. Kruger throws up his post-death debuffs and does silence Lightbringer. Sissy has already acted this turn. We now have a Zeraball in play as well. She is able to teleport to that. Even though she can't stand on this tile, it'll teleport her to an adjacent or nearby tile. Yeah, Mr. Sad, the benefit of McLean taking action against Kruger there is that he's still in guard range at least. It doesn't really help, I guess, if he's Epsilon's target. Passive block is interesting because that prevents his revive, doesn't it? Yeah, Matthew does have another AoE available too. He doesn't even need to use Strike to get into good position for it. Autorun going with McLean first to burn off this passive block and get his revive back. And you're right, Lord, Epsilon is going for exactly that kill. We proc Windwall though on Matthew. Fairly easily survives. Remember, Epsilon has, what, 1 stack? No stacks? No, he's 1 stack from the Kruger. So 1 stack Epsilon into a Windwall proc on Matthew, and that is emotional damage. Absol getting a little Schadenfreude off on the gargoyles as well. Yeah, a big part of that is gargoyles. I mean, a big part of it is stacks. A big part of it is Windwall. Lost him, just taking out just that little summoned buddy. It's enough to get Epsilon a stack. Cleans a little bit of space off the board. Zerida still watching and waiting, ready to be activated. Okay, the silence is cleansed. No actual healing, though. Up Appa and Autorun both below 10 seconds of backup time now. We may start to see some hasty actions and or some mistakes or slip-ups. They're both good players, but having those giant numbers flashing in your face can definitely throw you off your game. Up Appa is close enough into mid now that he doesn't really have to worry about being fogged out. Not in the lane, at least. McLean still has some tiles to throw around, which could annoy Lostum. Oh, Zerida being activated now. That's a Bone Crusher Zerida. Fully assassinates that Lightbringer. What a great play. No revive for old Lightbringer, so that is Up Appa's tank totally off the board. Also using the post-action AoE on this Zerida to knock Epsilon's shield down. She also has a couple of Zeraballs just waiting right there in the midst of the action for when she needs to revive against getting comboed. Gintoki moving right into the action and taking out Autorun's healer as well. So now we have a couple units in deep on the enemy team. Gintoki for Up Appa, Neo Zerida for Autorun. Autorun at least still has access to his tank, but no healing from here on out. Zerida and McLean, and Lightbringer I guess, can all kind of heal each other, or heal themselves. She can heal some friends. Although she doesn't have discipline, so it's all going to be healing via Gift of Eternal Life if she does heal. Just another splash from Matthew, not as devastating a splash as the previous one. So Gintoki finishing off this dangling McLean down here, and now we're gonna have to start to wonder what we're doing about this Gintoki. Zerida just taking a pot shot at another unit, totally wrecking it. Unfortunately for that Zerida, Epsilon was standing on a previous Zeraball, so no new Zeraball. She's also in guard range, so Autorun doesn't have to worry about her being comboed down on this turn. Lost him. Can ignore guard to take the first life off the Zerida. But in order to get her off the board, you need to be able to kill her twice on the same turn. Otherwise, she's going to be able to take action and use one of these Zeraballs. So lost him going for the Matthew instead. Alright, Zerida, let's see what your play is. I have a hard time imagining... Yeah, okay, AoE's fine to get started on these guys. Zerida single attacking at melee into a stacked up Gintoki is a pretty rough proposition, so I want to see how Autorun makes it work here. Lightbringer actually barely hanging on to her first life there with 1,000 hit points left. Alright, this is just going to tap that first life off. And now we have two big Up Appa DPS versus a 1-life Lightbringer and a Zerida. Now, unfortunately, for Autorun, this Zerida can't hit anyone right now. He opens up a spot for Gintoki to come in, though. Wasn't Gintoki? Oh no, Gin could have gotten in here. He's choosing to block off Lost Him instead. So Lost Him is going to get fogged. Wants to throw some damage out before he goes down at least. And that's it for him. Lost Him dying there does give Gintoki the act again, so he should be able to finish off Lightbringer here. That would be her second life gone. Does it with a regular attack. So he does keep all of his skills up, and Autorun has to... No, he can't do it. An injured Zerida with no access to balls is not going to be able to take out a stacked Gintoki. So game 1 in the books, 7th Heaven up Appa up 1 game to 0. If Autorun wants to get his 3rd championship in a row, he is now in the unenviable position of having to win back-to-back games against Appa now. Gold Magistrate lost all his money yesterday. Now, losing all his money again today, potentially. I see a lot of Appa stands in the chat. Wow, impressive. Autorun is going to get player 1 in this game. Let's see what kind of adjustments we have to the boxes. Certainly potential changes for both players. Autorun as player 1 may not see the need to have both of his tanks in his box for this game. And Appa may make some player 2 based adjustments as well. No real map based adjustments to be made here. It's a decent Lost Him map, but Lost Him is in the box already for both players. Okay, yeah, so we are going to get some rangy units in Elwyn and Light of Genesis for Appa. Also bringing Rosenseal up to help open up that tank and Rosen combo if needed. Autorun decided to drop the Hilda and bring up Ares, which does enable... It's another unit who can really control position and charge in when needed. Seeing an Autorun Ares in play would certainly be interesting. That said, Zerida, McLean, and Gintoki all off the table. But Autorun does have his Lightbringer. And we saw in the 3rd game yesterday, Autorun with a tank and Rosenseal as player 1 make really good use of that. And he's getting the same combo now. We're getting tank and Rosenseal as player 1. Appa banning the Lost Him and the Annie, kind of no-brainer bans there, but it does leave a lot of threats open for Autorun still, a lot of threats that don't mind hanging out with a tank and a Rosenseal. So we're going to see Autorun focus on banning units. I mean, he's not worried about units who sheerly exist to throw debuffs. But as we saw in yesterday's game with SCL, Up Appa certainly has the ability to combo the Rosenseal down, so Autorun may be keeping his eyes peeled for potential assassin threats as well. And the Archon of the Moon is also potentially threatening, although one of the nice kind of synergies with Archon of the Moon is that he works well with McLean tiles. And neither player is getting their McLean in this game, so that is one little thing off the table for Archon. Epsilon and Lostum, both units who can attack around the Lightbringer. Gintoki also able to push units around. An Elwyn pick from Up Appa here is dangerous because it kind of forces Autorun's hand in terms of troop selection on his Lightbringer. You usually want Phalanx to deal with the Elwyn, but you usually don't want Phalanx if you're up against a Gintoki. So, puts Autorun in a bit of an awkward position there. Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Absol. Luke definitely a threat to some of these physical units, and Gintoki in particular. Kind of what Autorun has here in terms of tools to deal with that Gintoki kind of feels not super satisfying. So the important thing to note here is that we have Up Appa with 5 full strong DPS. On Autorun's side, we have Lightbringer and Rosenseal, definitely an OP combo in general. And then we have 3 more physical DPS with Epsilon, Watham, and Ares. No true healing on Up Appa's side, although he does have units who can kind of take care of themselves, and T-Jess can definitely chip in some pretty decent healing as well. So part of Autorun's game plan might be to chip units down with AoE and finish them off. I don't think Up Appa is really going to try to overcommit either, so it's not like... I mean, Autorun can kind of slowly roll forwards with his tank and his healer. Alright, so we do have Lightbringer on infantry, that's fine. We do have a single target focused Watham. We have an AoE focused Ares, not too surprising. How's Ares looking? He's not buffed yet. We'll go back and take a look after. Okay, we've got Faceless on the Lostum here. Everything else looking fairly normal. One single target, one AoE, mass attack, and firebrands on the Lucretia. Strengthen on T-Jess, so really only the one healing skill for her. Yeah, it was around 1600 attack unbuffed on the Ares. And accelerated aids on the Epsilon. Alright, so Game 2, Autorun facing elimination in this game. Or perhaps worse for Autorun, facing the prospect of wearing a silver medal instead of a gold one. I'm not going to necessarily say that Autorun threw during ban pick. Far be it from someone of my skill level to comment on Autorun throwing. I just want to see what he's going to do with that Watham instead. Autorun did bring Rosenseal 3C. T-Cut, I do have to by default say I think this is going to Game 3. Just because ban pick being what it is, when you're up against Autorun as player 1, he still has the edge. Yep, Appa definitely has to still be careful here. The Watham in a tank push team, he may also be there to be bait. We've seen, in yesterday's games, we've seen Autorun bait a couple times. And it's possible I can see a player like Autorun picking a character specifically to bait with. Alright, lost him getting into position already. He does have his attack buff. Right, that's the question, Absol. That's the real endgame question here, is what kills Gintoki? Ares just getting out of the way. He does not want to play any part in whatever Lost Him is planning. And Lost Him doesn't either. Lost Him, a little bit of a bluff, calls it off, for now at least, but he does catch a breeze there. So whatever Lost Him was looking at, he can still threaten. And Appa is going to be patient along the fog wall. Let Autorun move in. Autorun's going to be slow rolling in anyway with his tank and his healer. Looking to open up some kind of positional advantage with this Ares. And Appa, you know, one of Ding's old lessons is wait for the opponent to make a mistake. If you can let your opponent make a mistake, that's something you can take advantage of. It's going to happen a lot less frequently when your opponent is auto-run, but it's still a solid maxim. Autorun certainly stacking up. So about 20 minutes before this battle, I actually just got in from Best Buy, picking up a Nintendo Switch for my dad. A breeze here on Epsilon. Lightbringer slowly moving ahead. My dad had an old OG Wii set up in his room, and he has basically just used it as a Skyward Sword machine. I'd say he's played through Skyward Sword start to finish on fresh accounts like 20 times. His thing is he gets to the end, and then he starts over and replays. He's played through Hero Mode. He's basically played through that game so many times, and today, sad old man, his Wii stopped working. The disc intake and eject motor wasn't working, so it wouldn't load any discs. It's kind of my fault because I brought Twilight Princess home so he could play that instead of Skyward Sword for a change. And when he tried to change the discs, the motor burned out. So it was my chance to let him know that there is a Skyward Sword HD on Switch, and it took some talking. Like, he's a member of that generation that, you know, he was gonna go and try to get it repaired. You know, pay like $100 to have an old Wii repaired. And I was like, listen man, just get a Nintendo Switch, we'll get you Skyward Sword HD, and then you can basically play through your same game over and over again in HD. So we went in and picked that up and got it all set up for him, and he's pretty pumped. Yeah, my dad's an OG gamer. He played through the original Legend of Zelda on NES multiple times. So, like, Skyward Sword is basically like his HD-ified, like, modern version of that game that he plays. Total Boomer Lord. Hang on, we had some actual on-topic chat here. Where are you at, Meow? Don't understand why Up didn't take down Epsilon with Lostum turn 1. Did he have that move available to him? I mean, Epsilon was behind Watham on turn 1, right? It was like, she was here, Watham was here, Epsilon was here, and Lostum could have pulled... Yeah, I mean, I guess he could have reached. Yeah, maybe it was too much of a gamble for turn 1 for Up. Maybe he just wanted to project the positional strength to see what Autorun was going to do with his Ares. Although, I mean, Autorun definitely wasn't charging in with his Ares on turn 1. Not with a tank push setup like that. So I'm not sure. Up is definitely catching all the breezes. Although it's a little bit early and not really on characters that they are going to make a game-changing difference on. Yeah, Meow's right. Rosen didn't put Miracle up until the start of the next turn, so it would have been against a non-miracled Epsilon. Epsilon putting a breeze on this Ares. Oh, that's just the accelerated aid breeze. So that's fine. Yeah, the longer the game takes, the better for Autorun. We'll kind of force Up Appa into Autorun's threat range, but I think the real key to this game is going to be that Gintoki, like people have been saying. What is the answer to Gin? One second, I just have to flip my screen real quick. I will ensure that we don't miss anything important. Boom, we're already back. All we missed was Heaven's Sanction. Running out front, popping a Heaven's Sanction just to chip this Watham, just to chip him. Lucretia does catch a breeze off that. Chipping the Watham, though, is going to make him lostimable. Okay, let's see. Is Up Appa going to want to make a play at that Lostum? Or at that Watham? He's not 100%, even with that little post-action healing there. He is on a forest, though. Lostum can reach. He doesn't have to go quite yet. Yeah, we're now seeing the mental and psychological toll of being player 2 in a game like this. Up Appa just devouring his backup time while hugging the fog. Waiting for the right moment. I mean, Autorun left him there on that forest for a reason. He knows he's under threat. This Watham is like Autorun bait. This is like the tastiest bait Autorun has in the bucket. We do have damage dealt. We do have attack up. I mean, you have to think that Appa is seriously considering it. Yep, he's gonna go for something. It looks like he is gonna go back. Is he going for the Pepsi? He's going for the Pepsi instead. Probably a smarter play. He does manage to finish the 100% health Pepsi on a forest with his guard ignore. Not too hard to kill, to be honest. Appa makes it look easy. Now, what's Autorun's response going to be? His Ares has been hiding down here. He didn't want to get killed. So, like, he didn't want to risk Ares being the target for that. So he's a little bit far away. Autorun has to respond, though. You can't take a turn and not do anything about that. Throws a sword in the way to kind of help body block a little bit. The units are all gathered up here at the top of the map, and then he's going to go take care of Lostum. Ham back up to 100%. Standing out close in front, though. I mean, he does have a few mages here that he has to think about. Yeah, Gintoki has activated his oath. And now, I mean, presumably Autorun has been spending a little bit of time mulling what to do about that Gintoki. Just remember, like yesterday, we were talking about DPS economy. Even though we have a trade there, Epsilon and Lostum, one thing that plays into the consideration now is that Autorun only has 2 DPS left, whereas Appa has 4 DPS left. So on Autorun's side, a straight trade DPS for DPS. He's not getting full equal value for that. He needs to end up with, in the end game, units that can kill Gintoki. The only other thing Autorun has up his sleeve is surviving in mid, right? Alright, here comes this Epsilon for Watham. No problem there. Epsilon has done his job. Catches another breeze that he doesn't need. Autorun down to only Ares without buff. Do we have Strengthen? We do have Strengthen at least on Lightbringer, so he can get something on this Ares. But Ares alone is not going to be able to carry against these 4 DPS. So Autorun has to have a backup plan for hanging out in mid. But people throwing GGs into the chat are looking fairly accurate. People already counting their piles of gold. Meow Up Appa is definitely not playing himself. Alright, here comes Ares. Let's see what his job is. His job is to counter-kill himself into Epsilon. Much less Gintoki and Autorun immediately. He knows he's toast. And that is 2 games to nothing. Up Appa over Autorun. Up Appa becoming the new Apex Arena champion. Autorun taking a 2nd place on his record. And there it is. Sometimes in the past, they've changed their account name to the pilot name so that he can have his name on the champ skin. So it'll be interesting to see if Up Appa decides to go that route or if that was part of their agreement or not. But either way, I have to say, well played to the 7th Heaven crew, well played to Autorun as well. Thank you for providing us with some excellent and entertaining games there. Always nice to see good strategic games. Autorun, the 2nd game there, the last game tonight, sketchier for sure, like Absol said. The pick ban, a little bit off, which definitely opened things up for Up Appa to take the win there. But overall, lots of really good games this season, so I'll probably go through and watch a lot of the rest of the games throughout the brackets. And then we'll find out if we're getting regular season to begin next week or the week after. I'm not sure. Does anyone in the chat know? Does anyone know? I guess it hasn't been announced. If we're going to have... yeah, it hasn't been announced if we're going to have a week off yet. But we shall find out. And I will be back ready for Apex Arena again with my own Kong box once the regular season starts up. So, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in and watching. And, yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to be covering next. My main focus now is on traveling back home safely tomorrow. So I'll do that first, and then I'll figure out what's going to be next on the stream. Thanks again, everyone. Take care. Happy Langrissing.